Hey guys, it's Frank from Cruising with Wheels. Welcome to today's bit of trivia. Find out all the crazy and weird things that maybe you didn't know in this episode of Did You Know That? Well, today I'm going to give you a bit of insight on a few bits of trivia that maybe you did not know. Seriously, there's a lot of crazy, weird stuff out there. Now, did you know that, and this is kind of crazy and wild, if you ever decide to visit a small town in Whittier, Alaska, you will enter through a one-lane tunnel. Now, this town has a population of only 219 people. Now, if that isn't weird enough, most of the residents, are you ready? They live all together in one condo. Yeah, you can see the whole town from the top of the roof. Now, this building, it has its own grocery store, and it's got all the other amenities, you know, like a little city. But can you imagine? The whole town lives in one building? It's like, you know, you never have to leave, you know, like a prison or an insane asylum. That sounds pretty creepy to me. Did you know that Liyue is a monorail station on line 2 of the Chongqing Rail Transit System of Chongqing Municipality, China? That is a mouthful. Yeah, it's located in the Yuzhong district. Now, it opened in 2004. The station, are you ready? The train station is located on the 6th, 7th, and 8th floors of a 19-story residential building. Yeah, it's in the building. Chongqing, located in the southeast China, is a sprawling metropolis packed with 49 million residents. So architects and city planners had to get really creative in making transportation and residential projects coexist in China's so-called mountain city. Now, I don't think I want to open my apartment door and find people getting off a train. And the noise, holy moly, no, I need my nap time. Did you know that the tiny island of Santa Cruz del Isla on the Caribbean coast of Colombia is one of the most densely populated islands in the world? It's about the size of 2 soccer fields, to give you some perspective on how small a place it is. There's only about 45 families living in 97 houses, creating a very small, confined environment. Now, the waters surrounding it, you know, are filled with fish, you know, good source of protein and food for the people that live there. But, you know, all the other foods and household goods have to be shipped there by boat. Can you imagine living on a tiny, tiny little island with other families, and like that is it? It's amazing, somewhat concerning and disturbing, but I got a little tip for you. Don't piss off anyone, because, you know, like a cruise ship, you got to live with these people in close quarters. You know, talk about a big Thanksgiving dinner invite. Did you know that the G4 Beijing-Hong Kong-Macau Expressway is actually a 50-lane highway in China? Yeah, we're back to China again. A lot of creative stuff going on over there. What's more surprising is that this highway is usually a 4-lane highway, but it gets bigger to fit a 50 wide car lane section. right before it reaches the toll gate. You can't imagine trying to get home after a long day of work on this highway. Can you imagine? I mean, 50 cars wide, right? Everyone is tooling down the highway like crazy people. You get to the toll, right? 50 toll booths, and then once you pay, it goes down to nothing. 4 lanes. Oh my God, you are stuck in traffic. Can you imagine being the first one or the 50th one and you're trying to merge, crazy merge, into one of the 4? You are there forever. I mean, talk about a traffic jam. I would just walk home. Thank you very much. Now, let's talk about my hometown. Did you know that here in Rochester, New York, we had a crazy highway interchange system on Rochester's east side that was flawed from the very beginning. And it was notorious enough to have its own nickname, the Can of Worms. Yeah. Now, interstates 490 and 590 converged at the Can in a crazy crisscross pattern. Yeah. Drivers had to weave through traffic from the other routes just to, kind of keep on going in the same direction, looking and weaving and hoping that they wouldn't die. It would have resulted in huge traffic jams and backlogs and, I'm telling you, a lot of road rage. Now, officially, it was called the Eastern Crossway. The Can of Worms opened in 1964 near the Rochester-Brighton line at a cost of $6 million. Now, legend holds that the nickname came from a reporter who saw the complicated design plans. Rush hour tie-ups were common within only 2 years. And add to that the population explosion here in Monroe County, eastern suburbs, further complicated matters. The traffic flow through the Can was more than twice what the plans had intended. Now, State Department of Transportation crews finally unsnarled the mess during a 3-year, $100 million project, which the federal agency paid 90% of. The massive undertaking was probably the biggest and most authorized and publicized regional Department of Transportation project. Promoted, are you ready? This was a slogan promoting the redo. Together, we can. Groundbreaking started in March of 1988. It took forever to get all of this whole can of worms, the inner loop, the outer loop, and all this nonsense. It was a nightmare. I mean, growing up here, it was a nightmare every day. You didn't know whether really you were going to make it to your destination dead or alive. It was wacky. Did you know that lack of sleep will kill you faster than lack of food? Yeah, according to reports, humans can function longer without food than they can without sleep. I know that for a fact. I would rather take a nap and give up lunch. If I'm tired, I don't care about eating. I'm going to be one that's going to survive. Now, after several days of no food, a person will feel weak and will, probably look a little thinner. But after a few days of not sleeping, the person will be unable to function. Now, interestingly, sleep deprivation has been used as a form of torture in the past. And also, falling asleep in less than 5 minutes indicates you're sleep deprived. Ideally, you should fall asleep within 10 to 15 minutes. Kevin falls asleep the minute his head hits the pillow. Baby, you are sleep deprived. Did you know a couple from Florida hold the world record for tattoos for seniors? Yep. Meet Charlotte Gutenberg and Charles Hemke. They have a few Guinness World Records under their belts. They met while Charlotte was at a tattoo parlor getting some work, and he helped her out by holding her hand. They have been together ever since, and they become a lovely sight to behold. Now, Charlotte She started her tattoo journey when she was in her 50s after her husband, who didn't fancy her getting any tattoos, passed away. Well, he's gone, and she went on a roll. Yep, as soon as she got her first tattoo, she knew she wanted to cover her entire body. Now, Charlotte has 98.75% of her body covered with Japanese-inspired tattoos. Now, because of it, she has the record for being the most tattooed female senior citizen, the most tattooed woman ever, the most tattooed woman living, and the most feathers tattooed on her body with 216. Now, he is also the most tattooed male senior. Yep. Plus the most skulls tattooed on his body with 376. And the couple loves the attention having so much art on their body. This is a look I got when I saw them. Huh? Okay. But then again, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. Did you know that almost 29,000 rubber ducks washed ashore in Tacoma, Washington? That's right. In 1992, a cargo ship container tumbled into the North Pacific, dumping well over 28,000 plus rubber ducks and other bath toys that were headed from China, again, we're talking about China, to the U.S. Now, currents took them, and news reports said some may have eventually reached Maine and other shores on the Atlantic side. The army of sunglass-wearing rubber ducks proceeded to travel around the world using the ocean currents. Now, 13 years later, journalist Donovan Hahn undertook a mission. He wanted to track the movements of the wayward ducks. Hahn's research led him on an odyssey that took him from Seattle to Alaska to Hawaii and then on to China and the Arctic. Yeah. He details his journey via plane, foot, and container ship in his book, Moby Duck, the true story of 28,800 bath toys lost at sea and of the beach combers, oceanographers, environmentalists, and fools, including the author who went in search of them. That's a mouthful. It's crazy. Now, carried by the ocean currents over 20 years later, they're still being washed ashore on Hawaii, Alaska, South America, Australia, and the Pacific Northwest. They are found frozen in the Arctic ice and they were washed up in Scotland, Newfoundland, and the Atlantic. And apparently, you'll find them hidden all over some cruise ships by some rubber ducky lovers, probably cruisers who read his book, no doubt. Did you know that in Hong Kong, some people live in what is called coffin cubes? God, if you think your apartment is small, just look at these coffin cubicles in Hong Kong. They are tiny, cramped, windowless boxes where Hong Kong's most poor and desperate end up living. And here in Hong Kong, the most expensive city in the world and one of the world's top financial hubs, there's an estimated 200,000 people existing in conditions like this below the poverty line. The housing market in Hong Kong has become increasingly expensive, forcing tens of thousands of people to move into these suffocating cubicles. These minuscule rooms are very cramped, and oftentimes these buildings house 6 times the number of people they were intended for. They pay almost $2,400 a month for these tightly packed boxes that became someone's home. I would die. No way, baby. Pack my bags and move. I couldn't live in a box. Did you know there's a city known as the Garbage City? And I'm not talking about your child's bedroom, okay, or your husband's office, but a real city. the garbage city in the slums of Cairo, Egypt. Now, when you think of Cairo, Egypt, okay, you'll imagine the pyramids, Egyptian pharaohs, rich history that goes back thousands and thousands of years. Not garbage. The amount of trash in this Cairo slum is a catastrophe and a disgrace. Can you imagine the smell? If you lived here, you'd have to keep your windows shut all the time. Probably wear nose plugs. It's a pretty awful sight to see. Are we killing the planet? Yeah. Recycle, people. Buy less. Reuse more. There you go. I hope you've enjoyed this little bit of trivia. And on behalf of Kevin and myself from Cruising with Wheels, I want to tell you again and again, don't just watch our videos. Click that subscribe button and become a regular Cruising with Wheels family member. Also, click that little bell next to it. You'll get automatic notifications of when our videos go live and when we go live for a live stream on Sundays. And also, remember, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. So, always remember to travel safe and cruise often.